After hours of hard work, I finally managed to complete the difficult parts of the task at hand. However, my back was starting to ache and I needed to take a break. Carefully avoiding any spills on the kitchen floor, I packed everything I had done into bags and stored them in a chilly room. I made sure to close the door tightly to ensure the freshness of my work. As I washed my hands, I took my time to ensure that there was no trace of blood or flesh under my nails. The others in the room were always watchful, and I didn't want to arouse suspicion. After cleaning up, I boiled some water for tea and waited for it to heat up. Although there wasn't much work left to do, I needed to rest properly. So, I took my tea to the day room. Taking a hot drink to the day room was always risky, but fortunately, there were only a few people around. Sam was gazing out the window, while Adele was sitting in her chair, rocking back and forth. It was safe. I sat down in the front row, watching the black and white movie they were playing as I sipped my tea. Suddenly, I heard a scream from the kitchen. I couldn't help but smile. I loved that sound. Shortly after, I heard footsteps running in the direction of the day room. It was Nurse Clemens. She came to an abrupt halt when she saw me, and I smiled at her. She took measured steps towards me, barking hands, as she always did when I cleaned up. I put my tea down to show her my hands, but my smile was a dead giveaway. Two orderlies appeared at the door, looking shocked as if they had come from the kitchen. Nurse Clemens gave them a curt nod, and they approached me, grabbing me out of my chair and dragging me out of the room. Then, Nurse Clemens changed her mind and cried, "Wait," but the sirens were blaring, and they couldn't hear her. She grabbed the shoulder of one of the orderlies to make them stop and stood in front of me again, forcing eye contact. "Tell me, Martha. Who is it? Who is it you've just killed?" she demanded. Another scream echoed through the corridor, this time from the direction of the bedrooms. I couldn't help but giggle. I didn't need to answer, they would find out soon enough. The orderlies resumed their hold on me, as I tried to stifle my laughter. As we made our way down the corridor, I could hear chaos erupting around us. Doors were opening and closing, and I could hear the sounds of screams and panic. I wondered if anyone would be able to escape the chaos that I had created. We arrived at the kitchen, and I saw the mess that I had left behind. It was a gruesome sight, and I could see that Nurse Clemens was visibly shaken by what she saw. I had done a good job, and I knew that it would take them some time to clean up the mess that I had created. The other patients were starting to gather around, and I could see the look of horror on their faces. Some of them were screaming, while others were simply staring in disbelief. It was at this moment that I realized that I had gone too far. I had let my desire for revenge get the best of me, and now there was no turning back. The police arrived shortly after, and I was taken away in handcuffs. As I sat in the back of the police car, I knew that my life would never be the same again. I had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed, and there was no going back. As we drove away from the asylum, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. It was over now, and I could finally move on with my life. But at the same time, I knew that the memories of what I had done would haunt me for the rest of my days. As the car drove off into the distance, I looked back at the asylum one last time. It was a place of darkness and despair, and I knew that I had been a part of that darkness. But now, as I left it all behind, I knew that it was time to embrace the light and start a new chapter in my life.